winter. So
Okay.
give some people something to look forward to when the winter rolls around. We're not dropping basketball. For any of your basketball fans,
Don't worry about that.
basketball's not going anywhere. I realize
Yeah.
that that's still the big money sport, but wrestling to me is one of the best sports to cover, watch. It's extremely intense.
And it's the fairest of sports because you're always matched with someone your own size.
Yeah, it's the better man wins that, and sometimes the better woman wins it too.
Mm-hmm.
There are girls out there that wrestle too, and I lived with wrestlers when I was in college for 2 years. I will tell you, those guys are a different breed altogether. They got a screw loose, but they're some of the nicest guys in the world off the mat.
Well, now, when you said they got a screw loose, that kind of fits right in with most of the sports writers I've ever known. And I've known a bunch of them in the last 50 years.
Well, I know I'm a few short of a toolbox, but yeah.
Okay, back to... that's one of the great things about this program we're doing. Time doesn't matter. Don't stop for commercials and that kind of thing. And you folks that do tune in to listen, we appreciate it so much. We're picking up a few listeners along. And if you are tuning in and listening, how about sharing this down your timeline to some of your other friends? We've got, I told you, South Africa, up in Delaware. We've got some folks obviously from this area who are there for another reason, and maybe we're giving them a little touch of home. Our email address is joelkena@hotmail.com, JOELKENA@hotmail.com. Love to hear from you. Not if you're going to fuss at us, though. Make me cry. Okay, let's get to this week's football schedule. Wren at Hannah. That's two teams that I don't understand either one of them. Really, I don't. Yeah. But we'll see.
This is of course the Highway 81 rivalry.
Yeah.
Harkens back to the days when Wren was in 4A, and this was a big region rivalry for a while. Surprisingly, this region for the past this rivalry, has been split down the middle of the past decade, 5-5. Wren has won the last 5, though.
Have they really?
Yes,
I did not realize that. I just didn't keep those records.
But see, and the other thing about this series is that the games typically aren't close. Usually, the winner of this game is winning by an average of 19 points a game. So the better team is winning, and they're winning big. Now, there were 2 years where this game was decided by a field goal. It's due for another field goal finish. So we could have a very tight ball game on our hand here. Hannah's looking to even their record at 1-1. Wren's going to look to move to 2-0 and build off a opening game win against Woodmont, who they beat last week 28-14. So this is a crucial game for both Hannah and Wren early part of the season to build confidence and also continue preparing for that rough region slate that they're both going to have in Region 1, 4A, and Western 3A, respectively.
Yeah, Western 3A I've always thought was the toughest 3A league in the state. And it'd be hard to beat it, you know.
You will find many high school sports writers around the state that will agree with you,
yes,
regardless of where they are in the state.
Yeah. I always thought Region 2 4A was the toughest 4A in the state. Maybe some of the guys down around Goose Creek and Charleston down in there might argue me but those guys up there. But now BHP is coming to West Side. Now here's a couple of things. BHP is coached by a man named Russell Blackston. He's a former West Side Ram.
Yes, he is.
And, of course, West Side is coached by Scott Early. And last week at the Touchdown Club, I understand that whether it was serious kidding or what, and maybe not appreciated, I'm only trying to stir up something, okay? That Scott Early made a little joke about Russell Blackston being the best recruiter in the county. He had a couple of guys to move in. Well, Scott's been accused of that his whole career.
Yeah.
You know. And I hope Scott doesn't get mad at me saying that because he probably doesn't listen to this thing. But that might have added a little kind of like bulletin board stuff to this game.
I think I'm always one of those people when coaches get up in front of people like that's more lip service for the fans. I've always thought.
Yeah.
Most of these coaches are friendly with each other. They all respect each other for the most part. There are a few exceptions along the way, but at least on the surface, Russell and Scott are they're more worried about themselves when everyone else is telling you. But I do think that might have jabbed Russell a little bit, and he may, if he gets a chance, he may try to stick one or two to West Side this week. But that's usually not his style, though. And
I know.
That's really not even Scott's style either. But it is going to be a rivalry game, in my opinion. It's going to be heated. And I'm looking. It's actually a game I'll be covering this week, personally.
Westside, BHP had a tough time last week and still won. As you and I discussed, they beat Lawrence on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, they played a tough Lawrence team. I was actually surprised Lawrence was able to keep it as close as they were. They are one of the teams now that had me on the lookout that could make some noise this year in Region 1 4A if they continue to play that level. But BHP was able to, irk it out and get a 21-15 win last week. And it showed some things that they need to work on, like what everyone's home season opener is. But they did block a punt. So that...
Yeah. That counts.
Yeah, they're one of the few teams that blocked a punt this week in the opening week.
Right.
So I think special team in a game like this, special teams can play a factor, and a punt or a field goal could be the difference in this Friday's game.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it, and it's add a little more fuel to it. It's Westside's home opener, and they are opening their newly renovated facility. They got new turf,
big old scoreboard,
new video board, renovated the press box. A lot like what Hannah had at theirs, because the districts did them equal.
I want to add, and I fuss about this a lot. I hope that the press box is not completely enclosed, and even if it's air conditioned. Mm-hmm. I used to go to a couple of places out at the old District 5 Stadium when it was that. I personally designed the press box that they put up out there. I was on a committee, and I've been to 1,000 press boxes. Mm-hmm. And then when they put some windows in the front, I was able to take them out.
Yeah.
And out at Hannah, we had to open up. You cannot really broadcast a football game if you're closed away from the crowd.
It's hard, especially if you're not used to being behind soundproof glass.
Yeah, it's...
Hannah's a soundproof glass now, but you can roll it to the side.
Can you open it up a little bit?
You can open it and get in the crowd and all that. But it is weird that first time when you see people hit and you don't hear anything. Mm-hmm. It's a little jarring, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be another top-notch facility. Hannah's was worlds better. I'm expecting the same for Westside.
Right.
It'll be a good game. That's going to be a very charged environment that BHP is going into. It's going to be a tough game for them, but once they kick the ball off, all that stuff is secondary, I think, and it's going to get down to who can block, who can tackle, and who can make plays. And both teams have showed they can do that. Well,
now here's another thing. 148 yards, 14 penalties last week for Westside. You cannot do that. No, you can't do that.
That's the second week in a row that they have really hurt themselves with penalties, but been able to survive it. They had a few penalties against Clover that really stalled a drive or two.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to do that against BHP.
No. BHP will take advantage of that.
No. And BHP's going to have to play better, though. They played well on defense, but they've got to do some work on offense. And I expect both teams to be better coming into this week because, like I said, it's a tight local game. It's a county game. I'm expecting a good ball game this Friday.
Okay, that's BHP at Westside. Now, I have them all listed down here for the rest of our area teams, and if you want to, since you can go to your listing, if that's easier on you looking them up.
Yeah, sure. Let's jump around a little bit. We'll go to Palmetto and Dixie. This is a non-region contest, of course. Dixie is coming off losing their 10th straight game to Crescent, and they lost that one by a score of 38-14, and it was not close from the start. I believe, if I remember correctly, Crescent scored 28 points the first half, and it was 28-0.
So, yeah.
And now Palmetto's going to go down there, and they come in with a 1-0 record after beating, rival Powdersville 23-19 after intercepting a last-second pass in the end zone. So, and that rivalry series at 2 games apiece, of course. This is a game Palmetto should win, and they should win it pretty handily. Dixie, no disrespect to them, they're just
their program is this culture. There again,
and now they're playing. Last week they were playing a 2A school. This week they're moving to 3A. And I don't see a way, unless Palmetto is just committing a lot of penalties and coming lackadaisical and thinking they can just show up and win. I think this one could probably over by halftime again. Should move Palmetto to 2-0 and continue to build that confidence as they get ready for again Western 3A and try to get over that 6th place hump they've been stuck on the past few seasons.
Okay. Who else you got there?
Well, we have another non-region game, a preview of next year's Western 3A, actually. Pendleton versus West Oak. As everyone knows, with the realignment coming up, Pendleton and West Oak will be in the same region next season. This is also a rematch of an old Skyline 2A rivalry.
Mm-hmm. Do they still call the Skyline, still call it that?
Still Skyline 2A.
Okay.
How they got the name. I go with what I'm saying. But,
they all used to have names as opposed to just numbers at one time too. I think.
Yeah, but like I said, that's all going to change.
No, I know
anyway,
everything's different. Yeah.
But like I said, last year West Oak pulled a 42-41 overtime upset victory over Pendleton, and that really kind of shook Pendleton's season a little bit just from the start.
Yeah, Paul Sutherland's not used to losing, especially to, maybe to Woodruff once in a while, but...
Yeah, he does. You don't typically see Pendleton lose to West Oak that often. Like I said, I think before that they had won the past few times against them. I will say... And this week, Pendleton is coming off a 26-16 win over Pickens. And Pickens just can't seem to get out of their own way. That dropped Pickens to 0-2. And I know the offense got a lot of attention, but the star of the game was defensive end Brad Johnson. The young man had 11 tackles and 6 sacks.
Did he really? I did not know about the sacks. I knew he had a bunch of tackles. I did not realize there were 6 sacks.
Yeah, he's actually a candidate for the Anderson Touchdown Club's Defensive Lineman of the Week this week. And I'll be talking with Jim Frazier after we get off here and figuring out who's going to win what for this Friday. But if Brad Johnson is able to give them that type of production from the defensive end position,
oh gosh,
especially against a team like West Oak that runs a majority running offense, they may be in trouble. Because, the young man is 6'3" and about 215, 220 pounds as a junior. That's scary.
Yeah, that's a great size, especially in that classification. That's
West Oak has proven they can beat Pendleton, but I don't think it's going to be this year. Pendleton just comes back with a lot of talent, a lot of speed, a lot of athleticism. This should be another game where Pendleton wins, and West Oak, they're coming in after losing the Apple Bowl to Walhalla, and they might be 0-2 after this Friday.
Yeah, I was able to see. I was out of town, but I was able to see the Pendleton Pickens game on TV, and the Bulldogs looked rather polished for a first game.
Yeah, they did. Again, I attribute that to Sutherland and his staff.
Yes.
And they're doing it differently. They don't do a spring game. They don't really do jamborees that much.
No, they don't.
They're kind of a throwback a little bit. And, people can say what they want about the old school way of doing things and the new school way. Only thing that really matters is wins right now.
Yeah.
If you're
wins
winning,
and losses.
If you're winning, no one really cares how you're doing it, as long as you're doing it ethically and by the book.
Yeah.
As long as you're winning, doesn't matter what you do in the off season, as long as you win.
Okay.
But we can stay in. We'll go back down to the 2A ranks. Powdersville versus Berea. Both these teams are coming in 0-1. Powdersville's looking to come back from a rivalry loss. Still some questions at quarterback. They're still probably going to go with 2 guys until it gets settled. But again, I don't really know much about Berea. Maybe you. I know that they're
Wayne Green did a real good job. Isn't he the coach there?
I'm not sure because I went on their page and now they have a new man listed. So maybe